Sonic used to be a franchise that faced every possible scrutiny it could online, whether it was justified or not. Chaomix recently made a very good video about how 2010's YouTube killed the series' public image. If you haven't watched that, I strongly recommend doing so. Watching that video made me want to discuss the other side of the story. If Sonic was constantly dragged down by popular reviewers, YouTubers, and even the social media team themselves at the time, how have we now gotten to a point where everyone is excited for Shadow Generations and the third movie? I'm not going to describe in depth about how the franchise became ridiculed to the point of declining sales and lower budgets. Again, Chaomix covered that really well. To quickly recap, we had this, that, this one, these two, the Wii U again, distant cousins, and you. Were the opinions of some of these products negatively exaggerated for the sake of views? Yes. Did we have good products within this time? Yes! But that doesn't change that the series was universally clowned for an entire decade. So how did Sonic escape this cynical void? What Sonic Mania did for this franchise is beyond belief. This game revitalized something in every Sonic fan when it was first announced in 2016. But why did we enjoy the reveal, and what gave us faith in the project? Enter Christian Whitehead. Early in his career, Whitehead made a Sonic project titled Retro Sonic, more commonly known today as the Retro Engine. This engine was a faithful recreation of the Genesis gameplay style, and in 2009 he released a proof of concept showing the Sonic CD opening running on a mobile phone. This led to Sega hiring him for mobile and console ports of Sonic CD in 2011, as well as Sonic 1 and 2 for mobile in 2013. These remasters featured many quality of life updates such as widescreen, improved collision in CD, as well as the spin dash and playable Tails in Sonic 1 in CD, and playable Knuckles in Sonic 1 and 2. Whitehead had demonstrated true passion for the classics, and also delivered on the quality. So when Sonic Mania was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, a brand new game with Christian Whitehead as a lead developer in collaboration with Headcanon and Pagoda West Games, the crowd went wild. This trailer had everything. It honoured Sonic's legacy, showcased an updated art style, new zones, and the all-new ability, the Drop Dash, which has featured in every single Sonic game since. But one thing it displayed more than anything else was confidence. It had flashy graphics with clean editing, and despite all the negativity associated with the Hedgehog Online, Sega were proud to present a Sonic game, unlike Project Sonic 2017, which they had to lie to make people excited. The trailer showed plenty of gameplay, and it was good gameplay too. Every trailer that followed was bold, with awesome animations, catchy music, and a general aura of pride, as if everyone involved with Sonic Mania was glad to be a part of the team that brought it to life. And again, this was during the era of pessimism and overblown hate, where uttering anything positive about Sonic Online would just lead to a lengthy discussion about why you're wrong and why the series was never good to begin with. This was the first step in restoring the Sonic the Hedgehog brand. Except it wasn't just a step, it was a psychosis leap out of this world. Sonic Mania released on August 15th, 2017, and it was universally praised. At the time, this was unheard of. I became aware of the community and followed the series around the time of Sonic Lost World's announcement, and every time something released, it was always met with heavy criticism. One of the most common regurgitated opinions I remember was calling Sonic Lost World a Mario Galaxy clone, just because it had round platforms, even though the game used those to offer different paths, rather than Mario Galaxy's approach of showing off an impressive physics engine and using the galaxies to offer unique and varied challenges. So for me, Sonic Mania's reception was a first-time experience to see praise across the board both before, during, and after its release. Mania restored faith among the fans, and showed that Sonic can still be a flagship platformer icon, shutting down all the revisionism, claiming that it was never good to begin with. For 3 months, Sonic was respected again for having a brand new, great game.
Wait to pop open Sonic Mania Plus.
So, Sonic Forces. It's, oof.
I'm sorry to say, there's nothing about this game that warrants both high praise or bitter hatred. Again, this game just exists, and when that's the case, what can I say?
Immediately after Forces released, it was trendy to clown on Sonic again. And unlike some of the games before, it was more than justified this time. The game couldn't decide whether it wanted to be dramatic or comedic, and the tone clashed badly. None of the playable characters controlled great, and the level design was far more basic than Generations Unleashed, and even colours. This was Sonic's big anniversary title, and all we had at the end of it was Operation Big Wave. Sega tried to charge money for Super Sonic in the game. It leaned into the meme culture, featuring Sonic t-shirts in a game where Eggman has taken control of the world. The episode Shadow DLC was meant to contextualize and explain Infinite's origin, and all it revealed was that the one opponent to leave Sonic unconscious in a fight was nothing more than a pathetic rat who couldn't handle being beaten by the strongest character in the series.
I am not weak!
The toxic culture towards Sonic only got worse again after Forces released. And then came Sonic Mania again to save the day. On March 18th, 2018, Sega held a Sonic panel at South by Southwest. I remember watching this stream live, and there were a few things revealed. Details about the Sonic movie, the IDW series starting, a new racing game which would later be revealed to be Team Sonic Racing. However, the reveal that grabbed everybody's attention was Sonic Mania Plus, the physical re-release of the game with added DLC featuring Ray and Mighty as playable characters for the first time since the old arcade game in 1993. On top of that, they announced a new web series titled Sonic Mania Adventures, available on YouTube for free. Sega had the confidence to ship out a 2D Sonic title physically in stores, as well as produce a 5-part miniseries. To this day, we still get short animations around the release of each game, and Sonic Mania Plus was the game which kickstarted that. These have only gotten better and better, with the Sonic Frontiers prologue being one of the most beautifully animated Sonic products to ever be released. It all sounds good, right? But the biggest misstep was yet to come.
Meow?
A year later, on April 30th, 2019, the trailer for the Sonic movie finally released. This wasn't just a badly received game that YouTubers were hating. This wasn't the Boom TV show that Cartoon Network abandoned so they could fill more slots with Teen Titans Go. This was the blockbuster Hollywood movie. Everybody was laughing at it, and not just online either. I was in the final months of GCSEs at the time, and even people in school were talking about it for a few days. There were endless memes about it, and a huge outcry to fix the design online ensued. As we all know, the design was changed and the reception was a lot more positive this time. It wasn't just Sonic Mania which restored the franchise, it was also the movies. The very things which led to the largest ridicule that Sonic had faced up to then. A lot of fans do take issues with the movies. The stories are generic, the music of the series isn't fairly represented, Sonic himself doesn't have the same attitude he does in the games. However, those are the reasons I actually love the movie. Yes, it is pretty basic, but what it gained with that was mass appeal. The first Sonic movie did far better than anybody anticipated, grossing almost $320 million and broke the record for earning the highest opening for a video game movie adaptation. It wasn't until 2021 where we saw just how much Sega valued the movie's success. The marketing for the second movie was insane, with an incredible announcement of Idris Elba voicing Knuckles, as well as a really great trailer at the Game Awards, showing a more in-character Dr. Eggman, as well as introducing game series lore with the Master Emerald, the Tornado, the Death Egg Robot, several scenes taking inspiration from zones such as Labyrinth and Ice Cap, rounding it off with our first look at Knuckles, with a story adapting the plot of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The trailer showed that Sega weren't afraid of bringing the Sonic identity to the movie series, where it can act as an easy entry point to get to know the characters. And this approach worked wonders. Sonic Movie 2 surpassed the original, grossing a total of $405 million, as well as beating the record for the highest opening for a video game movie again. It made sense to introduce more of the series elements in this installment, and slowly introduce people to the world building and characters, rather than cramming it all into the first one and alienating the newcomers. And there was even more than what the trailers showed, with the reveal of Gun and Supersonic in the movie. It demonstrated that the general audience can connect with the series, and the amount of brand recognition they brought, as well as faith to the series as a whole, is insurmountable. Knuckles released earlier this year and had the largest opening week for a Paramount Plus original. The show remixed the Flames of Disaster from Sonic 06 into Knuckles' origin story, and that really took me by surprise to have story elements from the game that tanked the series' reputation now included in the sub-series, which has the largest appeal. Also, episode 4 of the Knuckles show was great. If you don't like it, I don't like you. Now we get to Sonic Frontiers. The wait for this game was agonizing, especially since we fans had been waiting for a new 3D entry since Sonic Forces in 2017. The game's director, Mario Kishimoto, has already stated that Frontiers was a do or die, and he risked his career to get the game a delay which it so desperately needed. Sonic Team were putting everything into this game. It was their last chance at proving Sonic can be worthy of big budget titles. And in the end, it paid off. As of March 2023, Frontiers had sold 3.5 million copies, making it both the fastest selling and the best selling 3D Sonic game ever. This of course is boosted by the movie's popularity, bringing new fans into the series, but also another part of it is due to the marketing. I saw so many adverts posted on social media, especially YouTube and Instagram. There were new trailers releasing frequently, with the prologue comic and animation boosting the discussion online. Though I have to address the elephant in the room. The IGN preview on June 1st, 2022. This gameplay was simply awful. There was no UI to contextualize anything they were doing. Slow gameplay that made the game feel sluggish. No enemies to fight. Like, why did you present the big fish and coins and not the combat? But this day marked a clear turning point, because despite the poor initial reveal, there were a lot of people excited, even the casuals. Throughout the month, things only started looking better, with individual showcases for the exploration, combat, and story. And although there were still critics, the general perception still remained positive, even up until the release. The game performed so well that Sega granted Sonic Team a year of development for post-launch DLC, all available for free. For the first time since Sonic 06, we had Tails, Knuckles, and Amy all playable in a game which wasn't a kart racer or one of the Mario and Sonic Olympic games go away. We also had a new transformation for Sonic, which hadn't been done since Excalibur Sonic and Black Knight. DLC on a scale this large is something that was new for the series. The only thing we had similar before was Episode Shadow in Sonic Forces.
I'm not weak. I am not weak.
And now, with Sonic X Shadow Generations receiving more marketing, particularly over at Summer Games Fest, the reception has again been very positive. Something that would have been mocked 10 years ago for being too edgy or cringe is now being celebrated. Sonic Mania, the movies, and now Frontiers as well, have restored so much faith in the brand to fans as well as casuals that Sega are no longer afraid to give different characters their own spotlight. Firstly with Sonic Frontiers The Final Horizon, but even more so with Shadow Generations. Despite all the pushback with Forces in the original movie trailer, Sonic has restored its status as a franchise worth following again. It is a pure day and night contrast between 2016 and 2024, and it all began with Sonic Mania. It showed Sonic can still put out quality experiences, and is still a highly regarded game to this day. However, it didn't really make much noise outside of the gaming community. And that's where the movies came in. Both films attracted a casual audience, gaining the interest of adults who may have moved away from the series, and opening many parents to the series not only for themselves but for their children as well. The movies acted as tentpole projects, where the profits from those could be used to fund other projects in the series, most notably Sonic Frontiers' extra year of development. And the success of Frontiers made that a tentpole project for more smaller scale projects like Sonic Rumble, Sonic Dream Team, and the year of post-launch DLC that Sonic Frontiers received. Without the success of Mania or the movies, I find it incredibly unlikely to think that Kishimoto would have been granted the year delay for Frontiers, and we would have had another below average game bringing back the toxic culture that we were so used to. We're in a new era of Sonic the Hedgehog, one where I don't feel like I have to hide that I'm a Sonic fan, whether it be online or in real life. I can post online that I'm going to go all the way down to London in September for the Sonic Symphony this year. And there's no demeaning comments, it's just people hoping I have a good time. I'm glad that Mania in the movies restored the brand's identity, because the community has become strengthened so much by this. There are far more Sonic tubers than there used to be, and everyone has their own opinions about the series and games that they grew up with. This series means so much to me, and to see it thrive again just feels so surreal. Thank you for watching this video. If you were around during the 2010s, feel free to let me know what your experience with the community was like. Or if you're new to the series, what is it that brought you to the franchise? Was it Sonic Mania, the movies, or Frontiers, or something entirely different? Maybe it was the comics. I just hope Sonic teams stick to their word and release Sonic Schoolhouse in 26 years.
Well, I'm really glad that Sonic Schoolhouse 2 is happening, because I went ahead and drew up this fake logo just in case.
See, it's coming out.
Unfortunately, Austin, I think the development time is going to be a little bit longer than you were predicting. But we're thinking 2050, Pico, 32X, Dreamcast.